This whole episode was shot in a single day, and in fact you're looking at the very first day ever on set shooting the Cultists. The very first time we all got together, the very first time anybody was in character, in costume, was to shoot this episode, episode 5 of season 1. And it was actually my first day ever on set trying to do something like this. Everything was hectic, everything was scattered, trying to get everything there. And in fact, we almost had a major wardrobe error. Mike didn't have the right robe. We had the wrong robe out here in the park that day, and the correct robe that had been tailored for him was over an hour away in Birmingham. Now, my house was 10 minutes away, and by chance, just by sheer happenstance, I had another one of Mike's robes. Because actually, I think we had 2 in Birmingham, so his robe and his backup robe were over an hour away. But I had another one of those robes that I was going to use as a Halloween costume or something like that was just mine personally, and I went and got it. I found it, thank goodness, brought it back to the park, and got it on Peter. This black goat statue is heavy. It's made out of solid concrete. There's a behind-the-scenes video on YouTube about making that black goat idol. It took several of us with hand trucks to wheel it out into the woods. Fortunately for season 1, there was just one day where we had to get that out into the woods. According to the script, this whole episode also occurs at night. So Brianna and I had written several different night scenes for this whole season, and that was just because we'd never written anything like this before. We didn't know about all of the complexity of shooting at night. Scheduling is always a major issue because you've got to get people out at night rather than during the day. And then there's all the extra equipment and lighting and everything like that to do a night scene, especially here, because there wouldn't have been plugs or things, because we're trying to do a night scene out in the woods. So we simplified. We just shot this whole episode in daylight rather than at night, and it works just fine. Another complication here is operating the whip inside the forest. It's not exactly an ideal location to be whipping things when you got the trees and the shrubs and the twigs and branches and everything else that we were constantly hitting. But we got that too. The ropes tying them up here is another one of those things with complexity that you don't think about necessarily when you're writing the script. We had to tie them up with these ropes, and they had to stay tied up like this for quite some time, or if they had to take it off, we had to get it put back on so that it looks like it did in the previous takes of different scenes. In order to get the rope to pop up and take them down, Megan and I were off camera operating the rope, and if you look in the bloopers, you can see several different takes of that we didn't quite get that effect right. I love seeing Rob charge in here, and being that this was the very first day that Dax was ever playing Rob, he got to do Rob's hero scene right off the bat. This is also the only day that Charlotte was on set for season 1. So she was here for the very first day of the shoot, and that was it. Fortunately, she got to come back for season 2. Being that this was the first day ever out shooting the show, I remember being so tired at the end of the day. But I also remember Brianna and I being really happy because we had done it, it went well, and we were going to be able to do this show. It was a fantastic feeling. Here we have some additional ad-libbing between Glenn and Rob. You may also notice that Ben did have his fish upgraded between how he showed up in episode 3 under the pavilion and then when he looks like in episode 4. So Rob told him he needed a bigger fish, and he got one. But not too big.